I developed one small discipline at a time. The discipline of prospecting, the discipline of waking up early, the discipline of actually pre-qualifying my leads, the discipline of setting appointments. But I built them one step at a time, right? It wasn't just one day. So what you see today is 16 years of struggles.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. I love interviewing game changers who are shaking things up. And my guest is an author of How to Be a Beast, which is around next level performance. And if you're listening to the show, you know I love talking about playing bigger and getting to the next level. So I can't wait for him to share a little bit about his book. And so welcome to the show, John Tsai.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be asked because I know your guests are all like crushing it next level and playing at a really high level. And I'm just really honored to be included in that. I'm the small speck in the big universe, but yeah, thank you.
And so are you. You're totally crushing it. And we're going to jump right into it. Speaking of crushing it, he is a real estate entrepreneur in the top 1% of realtors in Vancouver, Canada. So my first Canadian on the show. So tell us in a quick snapshot, what inspired you to get into real estate and how did you get to where you're at today?
Yeah, thank you for asking. The reason was one book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you haven't read it, go get that book. It absolutely changed my life. I was 22 years old and I just graduated university, not knowing what to do with my life. All I knew was I wanted to be as lazy as possible. Funny enough.
Go figure.
I ran into this gentleman at the gym and he was 42 years old. How old am I today? 42 years old, funny enough.
And he looks like he's 21 for those that are just listening to the show.
Thank you. That gentleman was retired at 42 years old. I asked him, wow, what did you do? He was a Caucasian man living in Taiwan and he built language schools. And he said he sold that and parlayed that into real estate. And the residual income coming from the real estate rentals were exceeding his monthly expenses. Therefore, he's retired. I said, how the hell did you do all that? What can you advise me on? He said, go get the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I did. Then took another 4 years, procrastinated another 4 years to get my license, right? And struggled my way through. And really, the only reason why I wanted to sell real estate was because I wanted to come up with enough capital so I can buy real estate so I can retire. Mm-hmm. But through that journey, I found out that I was actually good at sales. Like inherently, I was a really good people person. So I did transactions that way. But when the market crashed, I didn't know what to do. So I needed coaching, I needed accountability, I needed scripts, I needed to do it the right way. So I got involved in coaching. And, from there on, it was just like a steady trajectory, of increase in deals and income. Struggled through a couple cycles already until today, where I'm leading 12 agents, active agents on my team, and 2.5 admin, the half being the VA. And last year we did 199 transactions, 170 million in production. I see some agents just catapult from year 1, 2, 3, but it wasn't like that for me. I struggled my way through 10 deals, 17 deals, and then 30 and just gradual until today.
I love that. So I want to actually talk about that because I think a lot of times people have this pre-notion, not just in real estate, but just in business in general, that every year it gets better and there are no setbacks. And you said that you struggled, you went up and you went down. How did you handle struggle? How did you handle that and know that like you needed to get back on the right path and exceed your like down moments or even the year before where you crushed it?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And we talk about this all the time. January 1st comes around. Am I going to do it again? Right. And the worst case scenario is you didn't do it again and you went backwards in your production. And that is totally okay. Give yourself permission, right, to be okay with that and learn from that and put in systems and accountability and more knowledge and more people so you can go to the next level. So for example, when I went from 17 deals to 10 deals from 2008 to 2007 to 2008, I knew that I needed more than just my people skills because
Mhm.
the market changed so much.
Mhm.
And I was okay with that. And then I had a couple years where I was stuck. I always wanted to go to 400,000, but for 3 years in a row, I did 250,000. Actually went down a couple deals in production. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Right. Then I started figuring it out. And then once you figure it out, you have a little bit of a jump. And then you figure out something, you have a little bit of a jump. And then through all that, you learn a lot. And then all of a sudden, 1 year, when the market actually turns around and you're ready for that opportunity, that's when I doubled my income in 1 year. So
Mm.
it will come. And you just have to be enthusiastic through all those years of failure, of struggles. You have to actually embrace that,
Mhm.
right? Or else you're going to quit.
Yeah. What if, for those that are listening, what if they don't have that enthusiasm? And what advice would you give to them after you have that tenacity? For 3 years in a row, it didn't quite grow, and most people are like, "Maybe this is not for me." They start to have self-doubt. So what advice would you give to those people that are either feeling that way or, like, stuck and not progressing?
Yeah, this is great. I'll tell you, Raquel, I didn't tell you this, but January 1st, January 2nd, January 3rd. Is this the right career for me? 2022. Is this the right career for me? So, guys, it's never going to end. It's never going to end. That little monkey brain voice will always tell you you're not good enough, right? And you're never going to be as good as you did last year, right? And you just had to work through it. The only way I was able to get through the financial crisis 2008 to 2009 was I kept moving forward no matter what. Just take one action at a time, one step at a time, and it'll start accumulate momentum. And
Mhm.
then your year goes, right? But you have to stay enthusiastic. Enthusiasm is not easy. I'm introverted, Raquel,
I would have never
and
guessed.
and I love people, but I also really, really love being alone. If I didn't work at this enthusiasm and energy thing, you would hear me talk very quiet, right? Very shy. I remember walking into the Mike Ferry retreat, my first retreat. I sat in the very back. I stayed away from everybody because I was so scared, right? So again, I wasn't like that. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm just gonna come into real estate. I'm super enthusiastic, super energetic. No, I wasn't like that. Even until today, sometimes I'm like pretty low energy,
So how do you
right?
get your energy up? How does somebody get that enthusiasm?
I hate saying this phrase, but fake it. Fake it until you make it. I'm sorry. I hate saying that, but that's exactly what I did. Every single morning I get on the a Zoom call with my accountability partner. He'll tell us, smile, John. I know you hate smiling. I'm like, you, ugh. And then I smile and then I feel happy.
Mm.
You're not smiling because you're happy. You're happy because you smile. And every day when you wake up, it's a choice to have a good day or a bad day,
Mhm.
right? So in essence, I'm faking it every day. And then I'm faking it so much that I've attracted all this abundance and wealth and money.
Mhm.
So now it's real, but I'm still faking it to try to get to the next level. And I have Raquel, you, to help me with that. So thank you.
There's one thing that I have noticed, even in just the few questions that I asked you, that you are really good about moving forward, about taking that next step, or about smiling and getting up and faking it, right? Like there's always that movement. And is that like something that you've always had when it comes to those doing those hard things, or just in like movement?
I think I developed that tenacity and grit in 2008. If you've never been in a massive amount of debt and you haven't done a transaction in 6 months, you don't know what bad is in real estate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But each and every day, I almost got stronger as it went on. Like, wow, that person just turned me down. I am now $65,000 in debt. Okay, next month I am $68,000 in debt, and I still haven't made a sale. I still haven't made a sale. At the end of that 2009 March, I was $80,000 in debt. But every single day I told myself, okay, this is a test. Okay, I'm just going to keep moving forward. I know that if I keep moving forward, I thought about it this way. It's scientifically impossible for me to fail if I just take the next step and I take the next step and I take the next step. It will break through, and it did. So from 2009 March to 2009 December 31st, I did 33 transactions. But had I given up during those 6 months and said, oh, I'm going to sell some vitamins instead, what would have happened?
You'd be selling vitamins.
Yes, that's correct. I would have gotten out of the business, right? So, but it's hard. It's hard to really motivate yourself sometimes to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
But just that one small step forward is all you need.
Yeah.
And then that another step forward, just a little bit, and you start to build momentum, right?
Mm-hmm. I always say that, a lot of people that have experienced massive success like you don't have that massive success unless there are those downtimes, right? And we've been able to overcome them because success is like a string of failures that you just happen to push through. And when you get knocked down or when you're in so much debt, the first thing and your first step to get back up, it's very rare when you're knocked down that you get back up and you take a step backwards. Your body automatically says we're going to take a step forward.
Exactly.
So
you just have to get back up.
You just have to get back up.
Yep.
Right. And I love that. So talk to me about this book. I didn't even know you wrote a book, and I want to know what inspired you, how to be a beast. Was it because of hard times? Was it because you just learned patterns?
I think it was those 13 thoughts, which I call the 13 iron laws of next level performance. Throughout my struggles in my 16-year career, at every juncture I had a breakthrough, and those laws in there are what caused the breakthroughs. So I just started to journal them, and then started to write them down. And then I thought, okay, why not just put it together so I can share with everyone, right? All my struggles, all my triumphs. And even today, I'm still learning. So there may be a next book to that, right? So, and the Beast, it was a nickname. Mm-hmm. People call me the Beast because I showed up every single day at the office at 7:00 in the morning where nobody would show up. I did that for 10 years straight. And I did 50 contacts for 6 years straight. And I prospected every single day, not miss a day of prospecting for 8 years straight. So people started calling me the Beast, and people started calling me the hardest working man in real estate, which I was.
How did you get that discipline?
How did I get that discipline? It was through desperation. And then the desperation caused the inspiration and motivation, right? To actually go out and seek accountability partners, coaching, right? And I developed one small discipline at a time. The discipline of prospecting, the discipline of waking up early, the discipline of actually pre-qualifying my leads, the discipline of setting appointments. But I built them one step at a time, right? It wasn't just one day. So what you see today is 16 years of struggles.
I love that. Could you share with us some of those 13 lessons, maybe one or two from your book?
Yeah. So one of them is defeat complacency at all cost. Why I was stuck in those years where I did, 3 years of 250, and all of a sudden I had a jump, and then I had a jump. I didn't know back then I was complacent. You have to kill complacency at every single stage of your career. right? Get out of your comfort zone. And for me, it looked like getting married, buying a ring, and buying a place. That was like extremely uncomfortable, right? And then my income jumped 100,000 that year. And the next one, when I had a jump, was I bought a car that I couldn't afford. That was the next jump. And then I started to figure out this pattern. Then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to spend all my cash every single year. So then I'm forced to make more money. Right. So defeat complacency at all costs. So Grant Cardone says this all the time: cash is trash. And every December, he spends all his cash into investments. So you don't see it.
Right.
You still have the money, but you don't see it physically in your bank account. So I'm not saying to go get, financially, obligated to something,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? But what's going to get you out of your comfort zone so you're not complacent, right? So get out of complacency. The other ones would be stop comparing yourself to others.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like notoriously famous for comparing myself and always beating myself up when I was younger. How come I'm not doing this? How come I'm not doing that? Oh, and I start hating on people, right? Like, how come that guy did 4 deals in a month and I couldn't do it?
Right.
Right. But then I realized that and I started to switch my mindset. Then, when I wrote it down in the book, then I'm like, okay, see, what's the best way to learn something, Raquel?
Read, be exposed to it, write it down.
It is actually to teach it to someone.
100%. How to master it is to teach it.
Exactly. So when I write it down, hey, this is my book. I got to follow it every single day. So I'm that's become a part of me, is like, hey, you know what? This world, this universe is abundant. So I'm going to compare myself and say, hey, man, that's inspiring. And if I were to ever compare, I would say, if they can do it, I can do it too. Good for them. I'm so happy for their success. And it's my turn now. I got to go take action. Right. So those are just some of the, mindset hacks, 2 of the laws in there. So hopefully you enjoy the book. It's a short book. It's 13 laws.
Where can they find it? Speaking of
it is on Kindle right now, and it will be on Amazon later with the paperback. And we're working on the audiobook as well.
Good. So we'll definitely put it in the show notes. And I love the kill complacency, because most of the times when we're dealing with next level peak performers, very, very successful entrepreneurs, they reach a certain level, right? And then it's like, how do you know when too much is too much? Like, let's take an example of you, right? Like, you guys built a massive business last year, multiple 7 figures. And to a lot of people, it's like, some people will never reach even 7, right? Or even 6. So it's like, how do you know when too much is too much? And how do you know you're being complacent, or how to go for more?
That's a great question. And the nothing is ever too much. That's a story that we tell ourselves. I think it's always about the next thing. You teach me this, right? What's next? Right? What's next for John? Right? You're always in the journey to a higher level of growth, right? And that's what you should be really looking for. And at the same time, although you're chasing that goal, you're taking the actions, you got to enjoy the journey, right? But if you don't enjoy the journey, like when 2016 was the first time we made $1 million on our team, right? And that year, I was like, I would do whatever, I would die to make 1 million. And my life was miserable because I wasn't enjoying the journey. I just wanted to chase that ego number of 1 million. So I just kept chasing, but my life was not good. I basically had everything on the wayside, and everything was 100% the business. And that's not the way to live life, right? And then guess what? When I achieved that 1 million, when I crossed that 1 million mark, I'm like, oh, that's it. What's next? Right? So it's actually the excitement of the journey itself, having fun every single day. And then once you hit it, before you hit that goal that's right in front of you, you got to have the next one already. That's the fun of the journey. But if you're just chasing that illustrious, 1 million and you hit it, it means nothing. When I purchased the Lamborghini, I was like, that's my lifelong goal. That's my dream board. When I purchased it, when I got into it and I drove it for a little bit, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go home. I miss some noodles now.
It's so true. It's never about the outcome, it's about the journey. And what you realize when you hit your seven figures, it's really not about the number. And
No,
then, like, it's about who you become because you level up in your thinking, you level up in
right,
how you look at different things, whether it is finance, whether it's abundance, whether it's wealth. You start looking at things, even sometimes you're the language and the relationships that you have around you because you start leveling up, they start to change.
right, exactly.
So, what do you think has been the biggest lesson for you when it came to like scaling your business?
The biggest lesson was actually you could be a boss or you could be a leader. You could have people work for you, or you could have people work with you as your partners. And I went from being a boss, like, oh yeah, I sell 100 homes a year, and you're just picking up my pieces and get, you could make some income off of that. To now, I'm like, hey, listen, I am 100% here for you to achieve your goals. I work for you. You don't work for me. I'm here to create systems and a culture to help you produce and hit your goals and your dreams. Because I did what I did. I got my ego stuff out of the way. I'm here to serve you now. And that has made life so much easier. I go from, this right here is like 100 homes a year. I take 112, 13 listings, and this is all me. And we do 150 deals, working 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour days. My wife hates me. We have no kids. To have this today was 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. I get to see my girls grow up. I get to enjoy my life. And I don't have to worry about the next check
Mhm.
because I have systems in place.
You have the business and the personal life synergy, right? There is like really no balance. The synergy that John loves. It's the synergy of the relation. I've got my wife, I've got my family, I've got my girls, and I get to see them grow. But I also love business too. And I can start creating opportunities. And what you have and what you said was perfect because you are a leader, is you get to help other people achieve whatever they want to achieve through your systems and your experience so that they don't have to go through those stuck moments or those downtimes.
Exactly. That's what I'm here for right now.
I love it. And I know I have to ask because if you guys don't follow John, he's got all different types of platforms from podcasting to TikTok. He's one of him and his wife are like one of the funniest like TikTokers. Is that what you
Thank
call
you.
it? And it always pops up on my feed. And there's never one, like I never go throughout a week without laughing at whatever they have filmed or whether it's John or just her by herself. I totally adore her. So let's talk about like social media and all your different outlets and like brand. Like, is this a fad? Would you recommend it to anybody that is starting out? How important is brand?
I never realized how important brand was until I inadvertently created a brand. And, people know you as something. You can do it very intentionally from the very start. Inadvertently, you're going to create a brand either way, right? But if you're very intentional about it and do it right? Nowadays with social media, it's so cheap, right? And you could really literally portray yourself as something that you're really not on social media very easily. So I think it's ultra important because we're all trying to build that digital currency. And everybody who's looking to join a team, everybody who's looking to sell a home, buy a home, where does the search begin?
Online.
Online, right? So I got to be on every platform. And so when they search me, they see my Google reviews. If they want to see me as a person, they can go on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, right? LinkedIn, see my accolades there, right? And then when they meet me, actually, they're like, okay, we're already ready to sign because we already know you and we know your track record. But if you don't have that online digital currency, it's tougher. Then it's a tougher sell. And your listing appointments might be a lot longer because then you're just showing them who you are at that time. They don't know nothing about you. But when I show up these days, they're like, oh, I seen John around, right? So that's definitely important.
I love that you said that it is important because if you put the work up front, you might have you can close the sale, or you build the rapport a lot faster instead of being at the listing appointment or being with the client and starting to build there from scratch.
Exactly.
So how do you manage all the different platforms? Is there a trick or a tip that you could give our listeners today?
I think you have to enjoy it, right? If you don't enjoy it, it becomes a chore, and it becomes a chore, you start to get burnt out and your mindset would just go down the drain with it. If you don't enjoy it, hire somebody, hire it out. If you don't want to be on the camera, in front of the camera, that's fine. But you need to be on those platforms. You need to be showing that you're doing business, that you're busy, that you're out there, right? So I think again, you really have to enjoy it. And I do enjoy it, and I do love getting on social media. So I'm blessed that way, I guess. But some people hire it out, and that's totally okay.
So let's get this. You're an introvert.
Hmm.
You're super funny on all the platforms and you enjoy it, right? And you've built this like business, this massive business, and you're a leader. And you talked about 14-hour days back in the days, and now it went to 4. So what would you say after building and scaling your businesses would be your top 3 things that contributed to building a multiple 7 figures and working less, it seems like?
Yes, having great people around you, that's first and foremost. I would say the number one systems that you should add is great people, right? And the admin, all the checklists and whatnot, those are just built naturally. And the other thing is you have to actually choose it. You have to choose that you want to go that way. You have to have the vision to choose out of working 7 days a week. At that point, I was saying enough is enough. So I choose out of this. I chose this. And if you choose it and you hold that vision so strong, you'll start to go that way. And everything else will work around you to make that happen. But you have to choose it. So great people, having that vision, and I'll come back to this, is being a leader and building a team is just like any other thing. I started out super crappy. I had a revolving door. But guess what? Just like prospecting, just like getting rejected, right? I kept moving forward one small step at a time. Those would be my top 3 just off the top of my head. Hope that helps.
That's so good. And I know that a lot of people are listening can, learn from some of those things. So when you go into 4 hours, what does your schedule look like today? I'm sure people are wondering.
Yeah, I think last year when I decided to go 4 hours, it was in the morning, 8 o'clock, I would still prospect for an hour, do my 10 contacts out of the way. And then 9 o'clock, I would get on a team call with my team. And then 10 o'clock mastermind call, and then another couple of recruiting calls, and make sure that the team is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's it until I'm free at noon, and I can do my other business in the afternoon, which is the EXP business,
Talk to
right?
us. So you have multiple businesses.
Yeah.
You are extremely disciplined. You made a choice and you're
Yeah.
done by 12. And you're a leader, you coach, and you've got lots of different things, but you also have this network business. What is that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So the EXP business is enrolling my friends in the business to the company, and we can collaborate, right? When they're also other veteran agents, we can collaborate and help them build their own organization, or newer agents, then we're just strictly helping them produce, right? So in the afternoon, I do a lot of that, a lot of Zoom calls, and a lot of recruiting calls, training calls as well. So if I'm working like both jobs, yes, I'm still working like 6 to 8 hours, but the real estate business just 4.
I like it. I like it a
Yeah.
lot. I like it when people start to look for talent because it really expands their world. And when you're recruiting, sometimes recruiting gets a bad rap because people are trying to recruit me is what we hear in the industry, whether you're in network marketing or
Yeah.
other industries or timeshare or real estate, right? Like recruiting doesn't always, or the army, right? Like it doesn't always have that, like I'm a recruiter and somebody's super proud to say I'm, right? But what we find is we're building another business And we actually get really skilled at, I mean, you've always been skilled at people, but you get really skilled at the levels of different talent that's out there in the world.
Yeah.
And you said something earlier that you got to find good people to help you run your business.
Hmm.
And I think that for a lot of people that are scaling, sometimes we think that it's about us and it's about our ego, when
Yeah.
really what's going to take you to that next level and is the skill set of expansion, the skill sets of, recruiting good people. And you won't know what good is till you have bad, like you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And through those struggles, I learned who I am as a leader. I learned who I am as a agent, recruiter, attractor. And I think, and all my recruits come naturally. I've actually never put out an ad or Craigslist or a Facebook ad or anything like that. They see me on social media as I'm contributing a lot. I put my heart and soul into pouring into other agents, and they're like, wow, he can help me. Right. So I think it's the process is now I'm just serving. I'm just serving other agents.
That's a good thing to social media, and that's a good thing to brand, because now you've got your brand where people can identify with you and say, I can come along and he can help me be successful in this business that I chose. And without that, right, you'd have to again go through this whole process. Now you're just attracting people. And what I love about John is you can tell him to do something and he's so coachable that he'll go do it in the afternoon or the next day.
I'm not as fast as Kenny Fast, but I will do it.
Shout out to
I'll
you.
just yeah, I'm not perfect and I'm still learning and you're pushing me, which thank you so much. I still procrastinate, guys. I'm still fearful of a lot of stuff. I still get into analysis paralysis, right? I still get anxiety. I still get doubt. Just know that those things will never stop, but you just have to keep moving forward. I keep coming back to that. I'm moving slowly, Raquel, but I am moving. Thank you.
He is moving. He doesn't give himself enough credit. And maybe that's his way of like not being complacent. So as we wrap up this show, and I really appreciate you being here because you said some really truth bombs that I think a lot of people need to hear, that those things don't go away. And the bigger the goal, the more fear sometimes you get because it's uncomfortable. It's a place that you've never been.
Correct.
And so as we wrap up, what's one thing that you do to continue to play bigger, continue to elevate your game, continue to be a beast?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for asking. And it's be around you, be around Kenny Fast, to be around Kevin, right? Kevin Cruz, to surround yourself with people who are doing a lot more than you, who are doing around the same as you. Surround yourself with people who are encouraged, inspired, and motivated, then your life would be so much better. We're not in the business of lifting up the downtrodden. So if they're negative, right? If they're not coachable, forget about it. Like I want to spend all my time with people who are inspired, encouraged, coachable, and ready to move forward, ready to grow. So surround yourself with people who are going that way because proximity is power. And that's where I'm going. So
you
thank
couldn't
you.
have said it any better. Thank you so much, John, for being on the show. Where can people find you?
Yeah, just John Tsai on social media, Tsai Real Estate on pretty much all platforms. You can find me there. Follow me. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So find me there. DM me if you ever want to chat. Be happy to help you.
Tsai Real Estate.
Tsai Real Estate. Yeah.
So if you've enjoyed this interview, please share it on Instagram and tag Tsai Real Estate or connect with John, send him a DM. And we will also put it in the show notes. I appreciate having you again, John. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.